Welcome to the Voices of Florida House District 14, Love Thy Neighborhood, the podcast where your story matters. I'm Teresa V. Wakefield Gamble, a lifelong Jacksonville resident, educator, advocate, entrepreneur, and your 2026 candidate for Florida House District 14. This podcast is more than just conversations. It's a movement, from kitchen tables to corner stores, from neighborhood meetings to City Hall, and all the way to the Florida State Capitol. We're bringing together voices from every block, every precinct, every walk of life. From Sherwood Forest, Moncrief to Norwood and Brentwood, Lakewood Forest and Grand Park, Cedar Hills and Hyde Park, Arlington and Fort Caroline, Southside Estates, Ocean Way and Turtle Creek. Also, Oakleaf, Normandy, and Crystal Springs. Your stories lead the way. And of course, we shine light on our historic neighborhoods: Springfield, Eastside, Durkeeville, San Marco, downtown near the Jaguar Stadium, and Merle Avenue. Communities rich with culture, struggling, and legacy. Purpose: from educator to activist. Ingrid have always believed that education is the foundation of change. It empowers individuals, strengthens communities, and fuels progress. This belief guided Ingrid's early career as an English educator and later as an adjunct professor at Johns Hopkins, Harvard, and Edward Waters universities. From earning her bachelor's in science in English education at the first historical black college university, Cheyney, University of Pennsylvania, to completing her master's in education at Temple University, Ingrid's passion for teaching set her on a journey that took her from Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Savannah, Georgia, and the Gambia, West Africa. In 2008, Ingrid answered a new call to action, one that would take her from the classroom to the campaign trail, when the Democratic National Committee, DNC, called for volunteers to help elect Democratic leaders. Ingrid knew she had to be a part of the movement. What started as a grassroots effort quickly became a lifelong commitment to organizing, mobilizing, and coalition building to bring about real change. As a co-founder and chief operating officer of the Obama Family Network in 2008 to 2013, Ingrid spearheaded voter registration drives, organized educational forums on civic engagement, and developed strategic outreach initiatives that transformed political enthusiasm into actionable change. Ingrid's team implemented mentorship programs to train new activists, hosted community town halls, and partnered with local organizations to increase voter participation in underrepresented communities. From 2010 to 2012, as an Obama for America organizer, Ingrid knocked on doors, made thousands of calls, and helped recruit and train volunteers who made history. From 2011 to 2014, Ingrid held leadership positions with the Florida Democratic Party, FDP, Duval County Democratic Executive Committee, DCDEC, focusing on strategic organizing, volunteer mobilization, and voter outreach in critical regions of North Florida. One of the most significant challenges Ingrid faced was navigating voter suppression tactics that was threatening to disenfranchise underrepresented communities. In response, Ingrid launched a comprehensive voter protection initiative which included organizing legal observers, training volunteers to assist voters at polling places, and developing an educational campaign to inform citizens about their voting rights. These efforts ensured that thousands of voters could cast their ballots without obstruction, reinforcing the importance of accessibility and fairness in the electoral process. These efforts spanned several pivotal election cycles in Jacksonville's most historic event, electing Donna Deegan as mayor. As deputy campaign director for Donna Deegan's election, Ingrid made her story by electing Jacksonville's first female mayor and the first Democrat to hold the office since 2015. Her victory marked a milestone for the city, breaking barriers in both a male-dominant and traditionally Republican political landscape. As the North Florida Regional Organizing Director for the 2024 Harris-Walsh campaign, Ingrid played a key role in engaging communities, mobilizing voters, and ensuring that every voice is heard across Duval and North Florida counties. One of Ingrid's most impactful initiatives was organize a series of voter empowerment town halls that provided critical election information, addressed community concerns, and motivated residents to participate in record numbers. Additionally, Ingrid led a targeted canvassing effort that strategically reached underrepresented neighborhoods, ensuring that historically disenfranchised voices are included in the electoral process. Ingrid work centered on the strategic outreach, volunteer coordination, and voter engagement efforts in these critical regions, helping to strengthen grassroots support and drive voter participation in that pivotal election cycle. Ingrid campaign leadership has culminated in organizational leadership as Ingrid is currently serving as president of the Democratic Women's Information Network, DWIN, where Ingrid engaged and empowered members to expand their service and leadership to include our visibility in the Democratic Women Club of Florida, DWCF. We did more than just talk about change, we delivered it. We didn't just campaign, we forged lasting relationships, brought people together, and ignited a passion for progress. Looking back, both as an educator and a political organizer on the campaign trail in neighborhoods, churches, and organizations, each step Ingrid has made been a part of the larger story of community empowerment and civic engagement for becoming a sunbeam, beaming hope and belonging into spaces to bloom in grace-filled relationships here and beyond. Shine unity, nurture being ethical awareness, mindfulness. On February 24th, 2024, Ingrid K. Montgomery was proudly presented with the 2024 Duval County Lifetime Achievement Award for dedicated service to the Duval Democratic Party.
The Democratic Women's Information Network Incorporated is the Democratic Women's Club of Florida in Duval County. DWIN was founded and officially chartered in 2003 by Kathy Finn and 12 bold, visionary women who knew that real change starts at the local level with informed, engaged, and determined citizens. Those founding members laid the groundwork for what we continue to build today. They saw a need to organize, elevate women's voices in the political process, and support democratic values right here in our community. And they did it with courage, resilience, and a deep belief in the power of democracy. Now, over 2 decades later, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment, one that calls us not only to remember our beginnings, but to reignite the energy, the activism, and unity that inspired our charter in 2003. The Democratic Women's Information Network, DWIN, is more than an organization. It is a movement. It is a space for leadership, learning, and lifting one another up. It is a place where women of all ages, backgrounds, and experiences can come together to defend our rights, support progressive candidates, and hold power to account. The work we do is not easy, but it is essential. Our voices matter, our votes matter, and our leadership is needed now more than ever. As we move forward, let's recommit ourselves to the mission that brought this club into being 22 years ago. Let us honor those who came before us by mentoring new leaders, standing boldly on the issues, and ensuring that this club remains a beacon of strength, integrity, and action. Thank you to everyone who has kept the flame burning, from the original charter members in 2003 to those like you who will join us today. This is our time to shine. This is our time to lead. Let's make her story. DWIN was started. I wasn't here in Florida at that time, But that's when it started. And what I think I came up in membership, they were a tea circle. They were women who did lovely teas.
Uh-huh.
But that has changed a lot. And when we came on board, it was changing to help women to understand their power in the electorate. And that's what we began to do. We began to see ourselves as equal players in the political field. And I joined in 2009. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I came to Florida in 2007, joined in 2009. And that's whenever it was changing, this energy where women were beginning to, consciousness was rising. And of course, we had Barack Obama, who was helping
Mm-hmm.
all of us to see differently and think differently and to be differently. And so we were all excited by that too. And I joined, and there was one other African American woman who was a part of the original group, and we were founded by Kathy Finn. Kathy Finn,
Okay.
I think she was a great organizer, and she asked everybody to join and to contribute. I think it was $100 or $1,000. And the women who gave, there were 10 or 12 women who contributed that. And that's how she funded and got started with this whole political piece. And we had to
Wow.
work a long time. And there was some reluctance to the women for becoming engaged, because we had been used to having signature luncheons, and we
Mm-hmm.
had them at what was then the university club, and people were used to going to lunch and doing that. But we became activists. We began to say, well, we're not just going to come to lunch, we're going to do something. We're going to participate, and we're going to get engaged. And it was that some people fell off, but the membership increased. And then they elected me to be the president to serve them here at DWIN, and that's whenever we launched. We absolutely had what a phenomenal time that was, from 2008 really to 2000, because I think I joined in 2000. Oh, it must have been 2000. I think my button says 2009. I have to go look at it. And
Mm-hmm.
we have been working ever since. And as I was looking back and remembering, oh, these women, we've been together a long time. So we
Wow.
did change things around here. We did. We did. We elected Alvin Brown. We elected.
Yes.
We brought for Barack Obama, Alvin Brown, and we began to elect women and participate and have our voices heard. And we began to campaign out loud. And we did a lot of things. We did a lot of good things to
That is
recruit and get people on board.
that is amazing. I like the way you say. Now, what's the difference of what is campaigning out loud? Because a lot of people, they have their own personal political views and their own personal political positions. But what is campaigning out loud? What does that look like?
Wow, it looks like a platform. It looks like having an issue
Mm-hmm.
that you know in your whole being has got to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
Campaigning means that I have a voice. It means that, as if I am the candidate, it means that I have a platform. It means that I have a message. It means that this is important to not only me but to everyone. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
drive it. The um, the uh, the campaign itself. Those of us who work behind the scenes, the volunteers, we know that we have to do things with toolkits. We have to recruit volunteers. We have to help other people believe in the candidate. We have to help them with. Today we have wonderful technology that helps us with that, and it's also very interesting. We were driven to make that change when we made phone calls. We organized. We
Mm-hmm.
organized, and we learned that from Barack Obama.
That's
We learned
good.
how to organize. We learned how to call on one another. We learned how to hold teas in our homes. We learned how to invite people into the home. We met out in the garages. We believed in an idea of democracy. We
Mm-hmm.
understood democracy, and we understood that women's voices, it was time to raise women's voices, and that was important. And we were moving forward. We realized today, the sermon today was about faith. Faith is moving forward. Faith about moving forward. We have to move forward, and the way we did that was to organize into a campaign where we could encourage everyone to come along and believe in this idea of democracy. That was the idea of democracy. So campaigns, and we're working on that right now, in fact, in terms of how we're going to deliver future campaigns, because campaigns do require the whole piece of integrity. There are different kinds of campaigns. There are different kinds of candidates, so that each one has its own intention and own purpose. So for a local campaign, you have one set of goals and one group of people that you're trying to recruit, because the bottom line for a campaign is to get everybody to vote.
That's
Vote.
good.
We
Yes.
want them to vote for the candidate that we are promoting, but
Mm-hmm.
we want them to understand how important they are to this process. This is
Wow.
what democracy is. You've got to believe it. And that
Mm-hmm.
means you're going to work for it. You have to hear your voice. There's no reason in the world to sit out. When you think of the stories, goodness sakes alive, how we sit out. You can't
Mm-hmm.
do that. Your voice is your vote. And whenever you get to register to vote and go to the polls, you and cast your ballot, you have done the perfect thing. That is the ultimate American dream. That's what America is made of. That when everybody speaks, everybody votes. Not nobody stays home. Everybody steps up and participates. That's what we count on. And that's
I-
what campaigns do. Campaigns, we oh gosh, we fundraise. We hold up signs. We make phone calls. We text. We do everything. Oh my goodness.
that is good. And I have seen it and witnessed it in living color. I learned so much, even though I got in the political space a short window last year. But when I tell you, I was learning on my feet and
Yes,
on the
you were.
go. And I'm grateful that I had a lot of the background and some skill sets to navigate. But sometimes it's scary when you don't have a person that don't have that type of expertise.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how has DWIN been helpful with, grooming candidates to position themselves to run?
don't you don't get up and you run, but what is your issue? What is it
Mm-hmm.
that you want? What do you want people to know about you? What is the message that you are delivering, that you want people to catch on to, because you
Mm-hmm.
promise that you will excise in your office? That is really the goal. How do we get candidates to do that? Well, we invite them to trainings. We show them what we offer, and we give them a candidate's booklet, a candidate's profile, that what things that we're expecting of them, things that the ways that they can use the different media, the ways that the DEs, the Duval Dems, for example, or the local Democratic Party will help them, what we can offer without going over the lines. And we help them to understand that they're important. We show them how they could use all the different technology. We show them how they can and be participate in programs, presenting. They could. We can invite them to different events. They could speak at different events. We can share that. We can make fundraisers for them. We can canvass with them. We can do those things, and we show them and we talk to them about the ways that we're going to do that. And that's important. That's been very successful. And so we really, and there's an accountability period. The candidate comes through the course, and then they are able to feel better informed and feel more confident that they're not alone, because the goal
That's
is
good.
not to be alone. The goal
That
is to have somebody, have a team like you
that's
have. I'm
good.
just so proud of you for your team and your persist. And you know what you have, and what DWIN always, and what we have Democratic women, we are persisters. We persist. You can't give up. You
Yes.
got to just continue. And that's what you've done. That's what I so admire about you, how you are even, so if this election wasn't yours for the win, the next one is. But you don't
Yes.
stop. You take what you've learned and you build upon it and you share it and you keep growing. And that's really what it's about. Keep on growing.
Wow.
Keep doing that.
Yes, ma'am. I love it. Now, what really impressed me, co-founder and chief operating officer of the Obama Family Network. Now,
Yes.
how did that happen, Miss Ingrid? Come on now. I'm telling you.
Oh, wow. That's something. Jerry Fluellen, Jerry, bless his soul. Jerry and I were married. and we moved here to Jacksonville. And he was a visionary and a futurist. All that he talked about was being a futurist. And so we developed a plan of action to help people to become engaged. And we used it with things like, oh my goodness, you're really taking me. We used things like, we used demonstrations of understanding. Both of us had been at Harvard for a summer institute on learning. We're going way back. And what we learned at Harvard, we brought here to Jacksonville. Our
Wow.
demonstrations of understanding, helping people that you have a voice and how to project that voice and how to be heard. And we would meet, oh my goodness, we did. And that's where I met so many. I met the Philip Miners. I met the Velma
Yes.
Brownsvilles. I met the Valerie Greens, Evangeline Watson, Edna
Wow.
Knowles. Oh my, George Gillis, Maceo. Oh my goodness. Ay, 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 ay.
Wow.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
amazing.
Hannah. Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious. Billy Bissard. Oh my goodness.
You've met a lot.
We just brought new thinking, a new way of thinking and understanding that really went over very well. We
That's
were,
good.
it was wonderful. And we still have that. Oh my gosh, that was a powerful time. People were willing to learn. Because candidates are learners. All they
Yes.
do is learn, learn, learn. And then there has to be an opportunity for them to show what they've learned. Show your
Exactly.
demonstrations of understanding. How did you
Wow.
understand it? Because the way you understood it is the way I'm going to receive it. So that was very important. And we did that,
Wow.
and we elected Barack Obama. Alvin
Wow.
Brown is our first mayor. We worked on that through many years. Oh, yeah, yeah, we did.
Wow.
Obama Family Network. Mm.
This is the reason I wanted to do this interview, because we have next generation of leaders and candidates that's coming up, and because the earth and the culture and the climate is changing, we don't need to disregard what blueprints like the Obama Family Network is established. And I wanted to make sure that the message and the story continues to live on. The trailblazers who have contributed to make sure that we are able to know that when Dr. King was alive and he was giving that I Have a Dream speech, he just wasn't talking to the people in the room. He
Exactly.
was speaking all the way to the future, to us right
Oh,
now.
yes.
And
Mm,
that's what every
mm,
time I read that speech,
mhm.
and because I had to present it to some students in Philadelphia virtually. And I really,
Mm.
that speech
Huh.
spoke
What?
to me. And I'm like, he wasn't just talking to the people that was in the room that day.
No.
He was talking to
That's
us,
true.
generations to come.
Yes.
So
Mhm,
that's why
mhm,
it's important
mhm,
that I
mhm.
wanted to tell your story and interview your story, because I think what last year you just celebrated 80 years. You
Yes.
80 years. See, you
My
don't even look.
lady. What do you call it? What is this? Octogenarian.
Yes. I was like, when Mr. Phillip told me that, I'm like, she
Yeah. Yeah. It's a miracle. Thank you.
you you don't even look
Yeah.
the way you move and the
Yeah.
stuff you do.
I don't even feel. But how's that supposed to feel? I mean, what was it? What is 80 supposed to do? I don't even know. I need directions.
No, you don't, because you're doing it well. You're doing it so well.
Oh, I'm
But
grateful.
I
I'm
but
grateful to
I've
be here.
loved I watched you and I've admired you from afar. You have
Thank
always been a phone call and a text message away from me,
you.
and just made me I did make me feel like I was on a silo by myself. Even though
No.
I jumped in the race late, even
Yeah.
though I had a partisan race, which I knew nothing about that infrastructure
Yes.
and the toxicity of it. But I was focused and determined I was not going to be the candidate that's going to mudslang name calling.
Thank
I
you. Mm,
refused to do that.
thank you.
And that was something you constantly complimented me on. And I wanted to say thank you for that, because at the end of the day, it's the job performance as a
Yes.
candidate.
Yes.
So tell us, about Florida House District 14, since you live in the district. What have you seen over the period you've been there with the representation at the state level and the local level? What things were done right, what things that got ignored, and what could be done better from your perspective?
Mm. Oh my. Oof. Wow. We had House District 14 for such a short.
Yep, it's short
It's
because it's a new district.
yeah. It's been
About the redistricting efforts and how it was impacting our Black and Brown communities. And because Representative Nixon successfully won District 13 that you
yes,
were formerly in,
yes,
that the current incumbent, Kim Daniels, her values aligns more with the Republicans, which is to disenfranchise the
yes,
Black and Brown voter. So with that being said, they recreated a district, and to me, how that happened is when they stopped counting the census, when
yes.
Donald
That's
Trump
true.
was in office back
That's
then.
right. That's right.
And
It was
because they didn't finish the census count, it gave them the advantage to do what they did with the redistricting.
yes.
And I
Hmm.
agree with you that Florida House District 14 is not at its potential because many people don't know they even live in the district. They still
Exactly.
thinking they living in District 13 under Angie.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So let's talk about the confusion there.
Hmm. Hmm.
How has the residents, or what have you been hearing since this redistricting take place? That's how the people are feeling.
Yeah. They're yeah. My neighbors
Mm-hmm.
are are torn. They don't know who they are. They don't know where to go, who to vote for. And so, in whatever, when did that election happen? Whenever Angie won that election, when we were still
I think
we were
it was
or
during the pandemic. Let me see.
it was during the pandemic. Oh my goodness.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. We knew most of us were supporting Angie Nixon. Many
Yes.
of my neighbors, because she's been a force. She's been out
Yes.
there, she's been visible, she's been engaging, she's come when called her. Wasn't getting that so much from anybody else. They put when this happened, when this whatever redistricting happened,
Yes.
it just takes me out because I can't believe the whole thing. We lost we lost our identity.
Yes.
We lost we and we're still trying to recoup it. We lost who we were, who we are. And
Mm-hmm.
people, it's been challenging to get back. People
Mm-hmm.
have not known who to vote for. And so they've gone, oh my goodness, it's awful. They've just gone to the one, they haven't even, people haven't even demanded a presentation from the one candidate, from Representative Daniels. She never came to an event, spoke at an event or anything. But she showed up one day in a pink truck
Mm-hmm.
on this election day and won the election. How in the world? Come on, people. But we
Mm-hmm.
were all, people didn't know which poll to go. There was that whole thing. That election, people were going to the wrong precincts. They were
Wow.
going to because they didn't know. They changed this thing. And of course, we have to take responsibility too. They could have early voted. They could have
Right.
gone early and no, but that was egregious that we lost that race because people didn't know and were content, or the confusion. When there's
Yes.
confusion, people tend not to do anything and know
Exactly.
better. And so that's when they began to say, I didn't know what to do. I went and they
Right.
told me I wasn't supposed to vote there, even though you had 2 weeks of early voting.
Yes, ma'am. Where you
It's
could have
not
voted anywhere at the early voting locations where precinct location was not irrelevant. And
exactly.
that's one thing that I learned when got in the race late. I had to do a lot of educating.
Yes.
A lot of, with the maps and,
Yes.
talking about them and, letting them know. That's why I got creative. I said, okay, well, maybe I need to find out what zip codes is in the district and what the neighborhood names, something that will
Yes.
resonate with them to
Yes.
let them know they live in this district. This is where you are. And to see it so spread out, I mean, just by every piece of side of town is in District 14.
Yeah.
Parts of West Side, parts of East Side,
Yes.
downtown, San
Yes.
Marco, South Side Boulevard,
Yes.
Arlington. You got all of North Side, little bit of Ocean Way. I mean, it is almost
Yes.
like a purple district. That's what I
Yes.
call it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it is confusing because
Mm-hmm.
when Mr. Phillip was educating me on the redistricting, and then that's how we also lost our congressional district too
Yes, it
from
is.
L.
We did.
Lawson.
That's right. Yes, we
So
did.
that was held by a
That
black
was,
candidate.
my goodness, that
So
was
you
awful.
right. So Miss Ingrid, how do we get our identity back for Florida House District 14 from your perspective?
I think what you're doing is an excellent way to do that. You're inviting the community members to come to interview with you. You're
Hmm.
inviting them, the voices of
Florida
Florida
House
District,
District 14.
inviting people and continue to invite them because yeah, so many people have given up. They've lost. And how do we get them back? That is our challenge. We're going to have to use new ways to move forward. We cannot do it like we've done it before
Right.
because we saw how that got chopped up and thrown out. But we've got to start talking to each other. We've got to begin to see each other, see one another, see me. You know, I see you, Sawubona. That was one of the themes that we did in Obama Family Network.
Hmm.
Sawubona. And I think, what's his name, that basketball coach you said, that means, how are you? I see you. And you Sekuno means that I'm here. So we have to help people to know they're important. Let's see each other. Let's talk to each other. Let's greet each other when we walk by each other. Instead of being down on the phones, let's look at each other. How this is the challenge. How are we going to
Yes.
engage one another to
Hmm.
become in to see us and to understand that they are so important to this whole process? That's the goal. And it's a new way of doing it because after November last 2024, we
Hmm.
got to have a whole new way of being. And so we see that people are coming out and they are understanding that this change is real and it's going to persist unless it's going to persist because change is going to happen. But what do we want it to be? What is our
Right.
message? How are we willing to get out here and do this and to be at it until we get the goal won, until democracy is strong again, until we see ourselves as the valuable people that we are and the voters that we are? It takes We're going to have to create. I'm glad about the freedom schools. I really believe they work. I'm glad
Hmm.
about the opportunities where new learning has to occur. Podcasts are a wonderful way to do that because
Hmm.
certainly we're more on the phones, even I am, and we have to look at and listen to the podcast and learn and take from it. And I think that's been pretty good, but I've not seen it locally. I see
Hmm.
this I don't see it in my precinct, for example. I don't see it on in my house district. You know,
Right.
you were the first one to introduce this whole idea of voices of podcasts of using technology. We have to use this technology to engage the new for new understanding and new candidates and new voters. They have to understand, but they have to learn it because we're just learning. You're only going to the pages that you like. We have to
That's
help
good.
people to come and see new thinking, new ways
Hmm.
of being, and understand they're important there. And we got to frame that. So it's a new opportunity for us to build new thinking, new thinking. And that's what you're doing by offering, because this generation does understand the microphone. They do
Yes.
understand pictures. They do understand video. So that is what we really have to get from them.
Right.
Meet them where they are and help them to
It's
understand. And as they become candidates, they can become candidates. This is where we are. I hope that we are going to go in this direction.
That is great. I love it. I think what resonated with me when the redistricting total goal was for us to lose our identity, and how do we get it back? Because I've been really, even with my campaign, I am very faith based. You know, I don't boast it because the current incumbent, she's a pastor. But I have to make a distinction. I'm not a pastor. I'm not an ordained licensed individual, but I am a third generation preacher's daughter. I am a faith believer. And in doing so, I've been praying. I say, God, I say, there has to be a way that we have to be able to come back to the table for people to being seen and heard. And I've been watching the Chosen series by Dallas Jenkins, the producer, where he talks about the life of Jesus and the disciples. And that is a very impactful series, how Jesus was a social justice advocate
Yes, he
and
was.
how he was equipping and building the disciples how to go out two by two, and how he had to deal with the conflicts and the different beliefs and the different groups. And as I watch that series, I think about the political climate we're in today. I'm like, he had to deal with that back then. I'm
Yes,
like,
he
and
did.
we dealing with it right
Right
now.
now.
So with that being said, when you was working on getting our first female mayor elected in Jacksonville with a male dominant
Mm,
Republican political landscape, what was
mm,
that like?
oof, mm,
What
wow.
was that like?
Whew. It made us do a whole new. We had to think outside the box. We had to be persistent. We had to have a strategy that was undeniable,
Mm,
and it was all about love. It was love based, and so
that's
we
good.
were we were determined that we were going to ask those who might think. We dared to ask people who you shouldn't ask. We had all these rules here because then one of the things about that, you have all these rules. You only certain groups go here, certain groups go there.
Hmm.
No, we were inclusive. Everybody was welcome. And
That's good.
the naysayers could say that because whatever they said, we did not give them a tit for a tat. That
Hmm.
was on them because we
Right.
were about love and moving forward. And this is our candidate, and this
Hmm.
is who she is and what she represents. And when she opened her mouth to speak, everybody listened. We
That's
were
good.
determined that you are going to honor us. You're going to see us as honorable. We didn't. Well, what Michelle Obama say? When they go low, we go high. Yeah, we actually had to do that. It was surprising to me that there was really this animus
Hmm.
because I can be a mayor. I can be the mayor. I can show you that what this is what I can do. We were out. Oh boy, did we hit the streets? Did we call on the phone? Did we create events? Did we were at everywhere all the time? And we even at city council where we
Hmm.
had opportunities to speak. We were going to be undenied. We were not going to be denied this time. And we
That's good.
had to, it was quite a challenge. But I'll tell you, the campaign director, oh, Pat
Mm.
McCullough. What? 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 Wow. Okay. I worked with Pat before. She is formidable. Honey,
Wow.
when we said yes to accept the campaign, we said yes to winning. We were going to win. We didn't know that
Wow.
they didn't. Our goal, we were going to win. And we did everything we could. We were decent and in order. We were
Mhm.
available. We asked without begging. We stood fast in our position, and we held forth. And so now, as I listen to what's going on, I said, "These people, we're not going there. we're still, because they're naysayers
Mm-hmm.
who want to deny what you're doing. Are you kidding me? We're doing the work. And how do you
Right.
tonight? So there, but and we were able to cross the aisle
That's
because
good.
people knew, and they actually people know you, and they will your work speaks for itself. As people see you moving through the community, that speaks for you too, and people recognize that and celebrate you there. So that was
Wow.
what an experience. Jacksonville was about to have a whole new experience with a woman who could win. We were saying we're here to win, and we're in it to win it. Oh,
Yes.
it was something. It was something.
I can
Jeez.
imagine just,
Mm.
me here, on the outskirts and hearing and learning about, and during that time I was dealing with my health issues, so I couldn't get out. But just know I was rooting and I was like, okay, this is gonna be great. This is what we need.
Yeah,
I wish I could be there with them.
yeah.
But right toward the election ending up, I was able to get in on the tail end to witness us having our first female mayor. That was amazing.
Amazing. It was.
And I applaud you. And I got to meet Miss Pat McCullough. I've been
Oh,
hearing
you
about
do.
Miss Pat.
Oh,
I have not met her, but I've
she
been
was
hearing
fierce.
about her. And it's just amazing. But I had one gentleman who was a Republican, and he made the comment that he was upset that Daniel Davis didn't win because they had these big plans they wanted to do. And that, I understand y'all needed some love and all of this. And I looked at him, I'm like, that's all you see,
What?
women?
Oh
Is to
my.
give love. I say with the political climate we have been dealing with coming out of the 45th administration with Donald Trump, and coming and then trying to the Democratic Party trying to fix the mess from the pandemic, and you're thinking that Jacksonville don't need any love right now. I'm like, well, all the toxicity, I say we needed time to heal.
Uh,
That's why so big. I mean, I was just applaud when I heard what he said. I'm like, okay, that is the only space how you view women.
mm, mm,
And
mm,
that we're only good from leading behind the scenes and
mm,
not up front. And that
mm,
is not the case.
mm, mm,
So I trust
mm,
me, I was telling a whole bunch
mm.
of them off.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
I say, well, you let me know how dismissive you is to your wife, because I know if they married. I'm
That's
like,
right.
now if you telling this
Mhm.
to me, I can imagine what you're telling your wife behind closed doors.
That.
I'm like, so that means
Oh
so
wow.
now the North Florida Regional Organizing Director for the 2024 Harris Walls campaign. Now, Miss Ingrid. Now
Yeah.
I was floored when I found out you got that role.
Yeah.
With all your background, which I can see why. You being an educator, you an English educator, an
Yeah.
adjunct professor at Johns Hopkins,
Mhm.
Harvard, Edward Waters University.
Yeah.
I mean, going to the first HBCU in Cheyney University,
Cheyney.
Pennsylvania. And then your master's at education at Temple University, and it has taken you all over the United States, Philadelphia, Washington D.C., Savannah, the Gambia, West Africa,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you wind up. Okay, I see why it's classroom to the campaign trail. Come on, how I can see your track record got you to elevate you to this campaign leadership role? What now? That's the grassroots level you have done here with D-Win, working with the state Florida Democratic Party,
Yeah.
working on our deputy campaign director for the mayor.
Yeah.
Now you own a presidential
Hmm.
ticket. I can imagine, what is that experience like? I know
Wow.
that's different and
That
demanding.
was, it was, oh, wow. Yikes. All of everything prepared me for that role,
Wow.
to take that on. And the goal was to bring people together, to help them to see the vision, to share the vision of this campaign and these candidates and how important they are. Everybody was important to that vision, to making that happen. It was 107 days.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Almost shorter than my race, 110.
Okay. Really? Interesting. Okay. 107 days. And I am grateful when I think about it. I was fully prepared to take on that role
Mhm.
because it was the first time the Florida Democratic Party had ever had that role. It was an
Wow.
opportunity for us to really show what we know and who we are in Duval. And so I had set and it was the first time we did regional voting. We had regions 1, 2, 3, 1 through 5. And
Mm-hmm.
I was responsible for other counties too, to bring them to the table to vote. And it was the people to vote, and people were willing to vote. They wanted to vote in this election. Well, I thought they did, and then they didn't. Mm. But the goal was to help them to understand that this was an opportunity for all of us to have our voices heard. This was an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity that we have not had before. The challenge was the time, getting people to be excited. We did work to build the excitement here in Duval. We did well to build the excitement, to get volunteers to come out. There was not enough of there, the money was it was a lot. There was the campaigns today cost money like we've never seen before. And we were working solidly with the reproductive rights, and we were doing petitions for the legal marijuana, medical marijuana, and reproductive rights.
Mm-hmm.
It's shocking to me that they didn't win.
Wow.
But as the regional director, my goal, and I was able to get to the different counties, and finally I had counties from here uh, to Escambia.
Oh my goodness.
I had It was
Wow.
crazy. Excuse me.
Wow.
Escambia, Alachua, Gainesville,
Uh-huh.
Nassau,
Uh-huh.
and in between Baker. I mean, it was something.
Putnam. You
I
got what about Putnam County?
Putnam, St. John's. Oh, goodness sakes! I learned so much, but we did come together, and I did meet people, and I did go travel to those places, and we did well, but I'm one person,
Exactly.
and we didn't have enough staff,
Right.
didn't. And I guess
So
it was being born as we were working it.
exactly. So my thing with along that lines, how important it is to make sure that we have the staffing available, because I know elections cost. Even with me running as a candidate, it can be costly, but I have certain skill sets. I know how to navigate and circumvent some of those expenses, but the average candidate would
That's not.
not. But my goal is we need to have a new call to action, because I've been having individuals, some folks are thinking about running. Some people are stepping back because they feel more name recognized candidates, I guess, who's terming out on certain offices is thinking about coming back home to run. Why would that be a deterrent for people who want to run? What do we need to do to get folks involved, to get involved, not just with the presidential campaign, but
But
some of our state elections, our
and
primary elections, our special elections? Why those insignificant elections people don't pay attention to is important?
Yeah, they're absolutely important, and we have not eh, historically in Jacksonville, people vote for the presidential campaign and don't vote for the county, the Duval County, the local campaign, and the state campaign, state candidates. Since I've lived here, I remember state candidates didn't even they didn't even campaign outside of wherever they were, and they just
Wow.
showed up on the ballot, and that was it. But no, there were no questions asked. There was no what we're doing today. I didn't see when we first moved here to Jacksonville. This
Wow.
was opportunity for people to speak and people to get together and for candidates to be held accountable for what they say, for their platform, to say what you're going to do. Candidates people were used to good food and on election day, and a few knocks on the door, maybe, you know, no places wherever they'd go, they'd always bring food, and so people
Mhm.
got used to being fed. The physical being body was fed, but their
Mhm.
minds, in talking about how important it was to vote, that didn't begin to happen until with Obama, but the second time was more effective. But that was presidential. The
Right.
local candidates seemed everybody, from my perspective, people seemed content with the candidates who ran the same race year after year after year until the redistricting happened. When that first redistricting happened, uh, we people were surprised. They didn't. I'd never heard of redistricting like that either. But
Mhm.
when they took uh, Congressional District 4. Geez, that was that was really a sign that all of
Yes.
this was going to change, and
Yep.
people had to begin to participate in new ways. You had to think about a candidate, and you didn't. And I remember too, people in with the House districts, people weren't expecting to vote for anybody else. The candidate who was there, that was the candidate of choice. There were no
Mm.
questions asked. There were no presentations. They show up in church on Sunday and visit the churches, and so only the church crowd got it. But there was no outside kinds of opportunities to meet and speak with them. And then
Mhm.
what were the questions? People, we weren't asking questions. We were pretty content to let them tell us what they were going to do. But where was the follow up? With DWIN and the Democratic Women's Club of Florida, we have something called tally days, where
Mhm.
we go to the legislative session during tally days, and we would write letters we'd speak to our electeds, and we would ask them for visits, whether they were on our side or not. For example, we one year we were doing the Equal Rights Amendment, which should have been passed by now, but it hasn't been passed in Florida yet. Do you
Oh,
believe that?
wow.
Girl,
Wow.
we have been working on that. Huh.
Mm.
Okay. We
Wow.
couldn't get, and it was interesting at our conventions, and some women weren't willing to change. They were
Mhm.
okay with the status quo, okay with leaving things as they were. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But we had to have a change. People
Right.
didn't want, they didn't want to think about it. So it became disruptive whenever when that first redistricting happened, and I remember we were down at FSCJ downtown,
Mhm.
and they were talking about it then. There were people in there saying, I remember when that district, the former person before Lawson,
Al Lawson. Mhm.
Lawson, never thought that that would happen, that
Mhm.
that they would bother that district because it had been our identity. Go back to what you said. We had
Yes.
a candidate became the identity for that.
Wow.
But did we
Yes.
see ourselves in that? But the candidate, and I think when that happened, people began to see, oh, but that's my person, and they began to put
Uh-huh.
two and two together. But wow, that was a surprise. But
Yes.
identity is really, that's exactly, thank you for using that word. That's what we are trying to create,
Mhm.
build, because there are too many people who are members of the Democratic Party who don't want to believe in it. They want to
Right.
say, "Not, I'm not a Dem." What is that about? We have to see ourselves as powerful again.
Yes.
Democrats have power. Democrats believe in the power of people. We
Mm-hmm.
speak to one another. We acknowledge one another. Some of the things we could, we got to do better, but we really do respect one another and allow for the difference in the conversation. We do engage in different thinking and, helping us to be fully aware of what's going on and how we are important to that process. And we have to participate as voters, as voters.
I
And it's
love
been
that.
time. It's been a time. Lord have mercy.
I've got a comment, and I have been heard how I keep seeing this phrase often on social media and sometime in some personal text messages, how Democratic leaders failed them. And when I hear that statement, I will ask them, I'm like, what way do you see that they failed you?
Yeah,
Or did you even vote when it was your time to vote?
that's it. That's it.
So when they say Democratic leaders have failed them, what should be the response that we need to be giving or educating our members in Florida House District 14? Because I was told there was I know in a couple of the precincts, even in my race, none of them didn't vote at all. It was only under 20% turnout during my primary. And
Yeah.
it was 129,000 ballot cast, but we had over 600,000 registered voters in
Yes.
Duval County.
Yes.
And a lot of people, I saw somebody do a post where they were asking different ones, said they're tired of the political space. People they don't deliver on their promises. They don't show up. They don't care. That's where, when you mention identity, when the redistricting happened, that is where a lot of people mindset are and why they won't even come back to the poll. And I think that's what the Republican Party used to kind of strip us from the voter rolls because we stopped voting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do we need to tell, or what do we need to speak to residents in Florida House District? Matter of fact, even everywhere, because everybody's going to be listening to this interview.
Mhm.
And there are Democrats in the whole United States. It's not just in Florida.
That's right.
What do we need to be doing to help us recreate that identity, to help them restore faith back into the
Mhm.
democracy system? Because we already see what the
Mhm.
Republican Party is doing right now.
Mhm. Mhm. What we really need, how, I think the greater question is, how do we help take personal responsibility?
That part.
I mean, you can, what about that point the finger? When you
Mm-hmm.
point the finger, what's going back to you? That
Vote.
thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You
Mm-hmm.
point that finger, guess what? You are responsible.
Yes.
So it's easy to blame. Oh, yeah, everybody
Yes.
can stand outside and blame. Okay, all
Yes.
day long. But what was your part? What did you do on election day? Where were
Yes.
you on how many people did you talk to? Did you bring your family? Did you
Mm-hmm.
make it special? Did you talk about it? Let me see your pictures. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what message you had. What was the issue that you found most important about this campaign? Did you do
Mm-hmm.
anything about it? Did you write to your electeds? Did you talk to anybody else in the family? What did you do? And
That's
with
good.
say it with love,
Mm-hmm.
could you have made a phone call?
Mm-hmm.
Could you have taken your family? Could you have made something special? Could you have had a candidate hosted a tea party at your house or some kind of event at home and invited people in to speak to the candidates? What did you do? That's what we're going
That's
to be. I think, and then on the great judgment day, it's going to be, what'd you do? What?
exactly.
Okay, because it's easy to blame and to say that all day long. And that's all they're doing is talking about that all day long. That ain't nothing. What did
Yeah.
you do? Well,
Is
okay, you didn't do it then, but what are you going to do next time? What are you going to
Exactly.
do? How can you change that? What are you suggesting for us now is that the message is? What message would you like to hear? Hmm? What would you like to hear? Where would you like to work? What part of this whole campaign are you willing to put some time into? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you give an hour once a week to make phone calls or to talk to your neighbors, to go knock on doors. Can you give 1 hour to talk to children, to host an event, to what? Do something? What can you do? Because it all comes back to us. What are we going to do about it? What does democracy mean? You talked about Dr. Martin Luther King's poem. What
Mm-hmm.
poem? What poem inspires today's generation? What we can ask people, what inspires you? What
Mm-hmm.
does it take for you to get going? You know,
Yes.
where and when will that happen? You've got to set some goals. They got to put some things on paper. You got to begin to talk to other people. You got to just do what you've done here, Teresa. Look at you. The colors. I love it. I love what you're doing. And you've got to keep inviting new people because
Yes.
it's nothing if you don't share it. You got to share it.
Yes.
Engage people and tell them. And every time you go out, say, "Hey, it's a great day in the neighborhood today. Do we need streets? For example, in your community, if you have that street needs to be repaired or something, have you called your council person? Have you
Yes.
engaged the neighbors to let's have a meeting and invite that council person here? What are we doing in our neighborhoods, in our families, in our neighborhoods, in our communities, in our city, county? Come on, people. We can do this. Come on.
I
And we
I
don't have to be afraid.
I agree. I totally agree with you. Now I'm gonna ask you something, and this is something I know when I grew up, churches played a big role when it came to voting here in Jacksonville. I don't know if you know him, but I knew of the late Bishop C.D. Kinsey. He was a big reluctant in getting involved in the political space. What because that landscape has changed? How does the church play a pivotal role right now, especially with the condition our country is in?
Mm. And the church people aren't going like they did.
Yeah.
It's COVID. But when the churches, I noticed the shift when people were no longer seeing the church as the place, the gathering place to lead
Hmm.
us, because we used to have buses, souls to the polls. Buses
Right.
would be filled. We
Hmm.
you taking people to the polls. We didn't have any of that
Mm.
because money.
Hmm.
Churches became corporations or something, but the money. They began to get money if they
Hmm.
did something without doing something else. And
Right.
so it changed the landscape. And so there was not the cry. There were there was a reluctance on the part of the churches to invite us, to invite candidates in to do it unless you
Mm.
did it a certain way. And
Mm.
we found that in 20 with the mayor's campaign and also with this last campaign, we didn't church we didn't have that support. And I do think it was because of the money that the new status. I'll say it that way, not money, but the new status of churches as corporations, 501c. And that even rolled over into we used to have organizations like that would help us. They would always help the campaigns. They would
Hmm.
do some of the we used to have data entry, and they would do some of the canvassing, and we used to count on them. Other organizations, we couldn't count on them this time because they had their own status. They were
Mm.
now different corporations and funding. This whole
Hmm.
money in politics, money changed it.
Hmm.
Money, lots of
Wow.
money, and you can't. And to get people back to, we don't want to go back, but to get us to see a future.
Hmm.
Okay, money's over there, but what kind? How do you see your future? How do you want to go forward? Are you
Exactly.
willing to go? Yeah, the church is going to be itself, and it's okay if it. Guess what? It finally the church didn't have to do it, but uh, um, uh, I can't think of her name. Oh, what is her name? Oh my gosh, Congress, Senator, she was a senator, yeah. Oh, uh, Orlando. She's
Mm-hmm.
Orlando's police chief. I can't call
Okay.
him.
Val Demings,
Yes, Val Demings.
Senator
Val,
Val Demings.
yes,
Yes,
Val
ma'am.
Demings. She said, you know what? The difference between now and then with the Montgomery boycott, people had their own ishtimon that they carried on with each
Mm-hmm.
other in the church and outside the church. We saw some of that, but nobody got on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody stayed off the buses. So you may disagree. This is the
Mm-hmm.
church over here, everybody doing something else, but stay off the bus or
Mm-hmm.
win the cause. Stay on course. Okay.
Right.
We
Mm-hmm.
can just, okay, you didn't like this or that or the other. The churches could have done more in it, but what are you doing? Did you get on
Mm-hmm.
the bus even though we said not to? Did you do
That's
what are you doing? Okay.
mm,
What was your part in it? What did you hold up? Okay. Because we have to have a part and own that, because
mm-hmm.
nobody got on the buses for 365 days and they were mad. We saw, yeah, they didn't like a lot of stuff. The churches did, they had faults, but can we do that today? Can we keep everybody on one accord? Can we
That's
all deliver,
yes.
okay, for Democrats? Can we all just say that this is who we are and this is what we're going to do? This and do it. We can do it. Do we believe? And you don't have to take a dime or quarter side money, okay? Because all that I see the other party has is money. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not impressed because at the end of the day, they're still a dollar short.
Exactly,
Still a
because
dollar short.
dollars don't buy vote. Dollars are
Mhm.
not votes. It
That's
takes votes to win elections, not
every
but
time.
the money helps
Mhm.
get there, but it doesn't
It
cast
doesn't
a
cast the
vote.
ballot. That's right. And we got to help people to understand no matter, don't be confused. Don't be conflicted. Don't money is not all of it. You still have power. Your voice is your
Right.
power. Your vote, your voter. If you go know who you are, look at your voter ID. Go to that at duvalelections.com. Look yourself up or go to duvaldems.org better. I'm going to say do that. Go to duvaldems.org. Look yourself up. Look up your voter status. Do you
Mm-hmm.
know who you are? Have you seen your name on that screen? Because there's
Mm-hmm.
something powerful about seeing your name on that screen that there's me and they have me and they know what my address is, they know my party, they know all the people, the elections that I have in my district, they know everything there that I should know. When I get that voter information card, I need to read it and know what that I'm in HD 14 and know
Yes.
what is an HD. How's this? Oh, come on, people. It's not okay for people not to know that
Yes.
to read their voter information card. It's not okay not to know what your precinct is. People,
Yes.
how you dare not? And it's shocking to me that with all this, there's we live in neighborhoods, people still don't know what precinct it is.
Right.
We don't
Because
understand how the city is divided. We don't understand that we have precincts and the county. We go from the precinct to the county and all of it. Well, I don't know where we're going to learn it, but there's so much technology. It's available. It's available, duvaldems.org. It's available, duvalelections.com. It's available everywhere. I vote too. There are different kinds of sites where this information is available, and that's the
right.
challenge. It wasn't available before. When I think of
No.
um, Fannie Lou Hamer, oh lordy,
Yes.
now that okay,
Mm-hmm.
hmm. Fannie Lou Hamer.
So that I mean, that is totally that's what makes me so respectful and you're passionate because you've lived through all the transitions and the reiterations of this electoral process. And I just learned that now this culture, this generation, just they are choosing entertainment over education. And it's also happening in the churches too, where the churches are having to do a lot of entertaining to get the message on for salvation. But at the end of the day, sometimes you got to stop being entertained and really educate yourself.
You do. Yes.
So my goal is with this podcast is to help the residents of Florida House District understand this primary election coming up August 18, 2026 is your general election. So
Yes.
when your representative is not fighting for funding for you to be able to afford rent and not fighting to keep your homeowner's insurance down, so you're not priced out of your home you may have lived in 30, 40, 50 years because you can't afford the homeowner's insurance anymore,
Yeah.
or you don't have public transportation to get back and forth to work. Those issues hit you right on your block. And at the end of the day, I love how you said in your bio about the sunbeam. That's why I was telling you about the curtain earlier, how the sunbeam was coming in, because you mentioned it in your
Yeah.
bio.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I love how you not only kept DWIN, not just locally, but you connected it with the Democratic Women's Club of Florida.
Yes.
And that convention is coming up next month.
Mhm.
And
It-
how important is that convention with the women, especially in Florida?
oh my goodness, it's so important. There are 67 counties in Florida. We
Mhm,
have 300 clubs in Florida. And
mhm.
whenever women come to, and we have an annual convention, and this time it's in Orlando, and women get together, we do our bylaws and amendments, and we support candidates. We invite, oh my gosh, historically, we always invite candidates in to speak to us. We get to know them. We get to hear what they're saying. We have trainings and learning about, we learn everything about how voting. We learn about everything, voting. Oh my goodness. We learn voting. We're trained. We do candidate screening. We
Mhm.
do, and we do have our own elections. We
Wow.
elect officers to represent us because the Democratic Women's Club, Clubs of Florida have Democratic Women's Club of Florida have 2 seats on the Democratic National Committee.
Oh,
And
wow.
those 2 seats help us to inform the next iteration, the actions that happen from that vantage point. But we're the largest caucus. Ah, I believe we're the largest caucus in the state, the women.
See
And
that?
so what we've learned, oh my goodness, over the years, all through this legislative session, oh,
Mm.
we have had legislative teams led by our own Jessica Ransom, who's a
Yep.
past president of DWIN herself. She is the legislative lead. Oh my God, they have spent mammoth amounts of time studying this legislation and bringing it to us and helping us to know better about it. Oh my gosh, we do all of that training and learning. Oh my goodness. As well as we learn how to celebrate. We learn how to create events. We learn how to host events. We do have we learn, that's where you learn the real Robert's Rules of Order. You learn the protocol. You learn, we have our bylaws, our handbook, and everything. And we bring those to convention to be updated or to be expanded upon. And that all of that happens there. So much learning and so much training.
Mm.
Oh my goodness. We learned what redistricting is. We learned that there. We learned how to we really allow how to campaign, how to become candidates. Yeah, we
That's
learned.
amazing.
We were
That
there.
is
All of them.
amazing. I
Mhm.
love it. But I noticed you got elected on this on the Florida Democratic Party state committee for Duval County this year.
Yeah. And that's
W-
ooh, that's why well, that's something. It's the first time we have
Wow.
held this election. The first
Wow.
time. And there are 18 of us, I believe. And it's the first time that we have been this number of them. We never had this before.
Oh,
And
wow.
so a lot of we have not been as finely hewn as perhaps others have been because we our 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 Democratic Party was abused, I'd say here in Florida, because people were coming in and taking advantage and leaving. You know, they were holding leadership positions. So, and a lot of stuff was allowed to go on. And, but we held forth. And so now we are at least doing what the bylaws say and the handbook says. We have to have every county has state executive committee members, and we do meet, and we do have to. There's a presentation to us about what the intention is, what we're going to do for this next year for elections.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I'm working with the campaign committee and candidates committee. That's what we're doing right now. And we're
That's
trying
good.
to create a handbook, update the books. It's the first time that I see Democrats are working as one
Wow.
in the state.
Wow.
We're coming together as this new committee. And it's the first that election that we had
Mm-hmm.
where we elected the new people. And that was the first time we've had that.
Wow. It's just amazing how the culture climate changes, and to me it's like this was a wake-up call for the Democratic Party in Florida,
It is.
and how we really had to be a little bit more innovative and more structured, because as we see, the Republican Party was working around the clock all night, all day, implementing this Project 2025, which I'm studying my dual doctorate program. My whole dissertation is on the equity, teacher efficacy, and CRT in Florida. And those two first legislative bills that Governor DeSantis pushed, the Don't Say Gay and the Stop Woke Act, and
Yes.
the book banning, and
Yes.
how it really culminates on really stripping
Yes.
the culture of the state, and really trying to revert and go back to things that our ancestors have already fought through, including yourself.
That's
In
right.
other words, and this generation does not have no clue how to navigate in a space like that.
Right. That's right. That's right.
So how with the large representation, I was very impressed to find out how many 18 we had 18 state committee people at the state level. And I've talked with other people around the state. They say that's unheard of. We've
Yeah.
never seen that before. So I feel this time Duval County, Northeast Florida is really represented at the state level. I
Yes.
have never seen it at this level before. So what does that say to you?
Wow. There's more to do than I can do. Got to get. We are determined and committed more than ever
Mm-hmm.
to help people, everyone realize the power of their voice. Your voice is, you matter. You
Right.
count in every count, every precinct, everybody counts.
Yes.
Everybody has a message. You're going to bring a whole new way of being and thinking. I'm excited about that. And I wish
Mm-hmm.
people could get excited about themselves, know who you are. And one of the
Yes.
things that we might do too is to begin to, understand, and it's the history.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also about critical thinking. We got
Mm-hmm.
to help get us to think critically.
Yes.
Sometimes it's hard and it may not feel so good, but
Right.
stick with it. See it
Yes.
through. Everything. I'm concerned that today there's too much ease.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down. I just don't think folks sit down too much. And I like, and here's what I like too. Turn the TV off. Turn the TV off. I like Kendrick Lamar. Turn the TV off.
Yes.
I have
Yes.
TV. Turn it off. Get
Yes.
off. Turn it off. Turn it off, and get
Mm-hmm.
yourself out. Turn it off, because
Yes.
when we turn that TV off, because TV, well, it was very effective and all that, it is sapping us of our
Yes.
own creativity, our own thinking, our own wellness. We're not going to
Mm-hmm.
get up off the, come on. And
Yep.
that's been the enemy, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
And
The
whenever
TV.
that song comes on, that's when the dance. Get up and dance and turn the TV off, because we have work to do. And the TV, we've learned to people have TV on all night long in their phones and their ears. What the heck? we're not sleeping. We're not
Mm-hmm.
turning off the lights. Remember? Well, you hear it. You were a kid too.
Yes. Uh-huh.
The lights came on at night, but at night that we were all 6 o'clock, we all turned on. That's when we watched the news. And when that
Exactly.
news went off, the TV went off. And there was a
Exactly.
test pattern on the screen that meant that everything was closed. It was shut down. We
Mm-hmm.
need to turn stuff off so that we
Yep.
can turn on. And then
That's
we will
good.
see our thinking, because then we will become more in we will become more aware of our being. I'm a meditator, and so for
Mm-hmm.
me, meditating is a wonder. It's prayer. It's an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to shut it out, turn it
Yes.
off, turn off
Yes.
the phone. Don't have your phone on all night long in the bed with you. What? Leave the phone in another room. You know,
Yes.
when the
Yes.
grandkids come and the people come, here's the basket. They know where put the phones go in there. We have
Yes.
to look at each other at the table, sit at a table. How about that? And bring everybody to
That's
a table again. I mean,
yes.
oh my goodness, it's just so different. And so I'm trying to navigate this new space too, because I understand that it's important that you got to
Mm-hmm.
have but you can turn it off and leave it. Forget it once in a while and see what
Yep.
happens. You will have to
Yes.
depend on yourself in a new way. You know,
Yes.
you don't look at
Mm-hmm.
the phone for the answer that you need in this moment. This
Mm-hmm.
moment requires your total being present, and it requires your introspection, your critical thinking about what you're going to do, what you want, who you are, and how that's going to resolve itself. You won't find that on the TV. You'll
Right.
find, yeah, yeah. And TV has, it's got perks and things. You can watch some things, but I tell you, after you, at what I like what Ryan Coogler is saying now these days with Sinners. That
Mm-hmm.
movie, I don't need to see another movie ever. That was the best movie
Mm-hmm.
ever. When you begin to see, the subtlety of
Mm-hmm.
division, the subtlety of corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all, and guess what? That's what it said, we're sinners. Until we recognize and see the faith of who we
Mm-hmm.
are in this process. We are God's people. If we're going to be God's people, we got to stand for God. And no matter what, stand fast in that liberty wherewith
Yes.
Christ has made us free. We'll be free. But you have to understand it. You have to come to it. And it means leaving some stuff alone. Okay.
That's true.
And it does mean too that you might have to go by yourself. It does mean that you might have to even do something totally unexpected, like in the movie. I mean, you have to hold, if you believe something and you believe it's yours and God gave you this gift, are you ready to ride it all the way? If it's a
Mm-hmm.
gift, and you have to know and have that spirit of discernment, know when God is speaking and when it's some other voice. Know who you are and know whose you are, because you're
I
important. Mhm.
I love that. Now, Miss Ingrid, I know I'm finna challenge you right now. Can you count how many events you done did being in a champion, a campaign leader? We gonna get some data on you. We gonna go all the way back. We gonna find out how many events you done went to, how many conferences you done did, how many speaking engagements you done been to. I'm just taking you down memory lane because I'm saying all of this because you was not focused on how many people was in the room, who was in your audience. You focused on doing the work, and that's what makes you such a tremendous servant leadership that I wholeheartedly admire. Because when I hear all the stuff that you have done and reading this and all the photo album picture
Wow,
book you sent me last night, I was just in awe. I said,
that's
I'm just gonna have a separate video just with all her pictures.
no, please don't. It is, ooh, girl.
But
Oh,
the
my goodness.
last thing I would like to say
Mm,
is I know the Duval County Democratic Party, they gave you the Lifetime Achievement Award last year.
they did.
Did you knew that was coming?
I did.
Or-
Oh, I was flabbergasted. What? Oh my goodness. I was totally shocked. Totally shocked. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
You rightfully deserved it.
work and the work. I love the people that I meet. Oh my goodness, there's such goodness, and the people they when you call them, they will come, and
Mm-hmm.
they will know that your sincerity. They will know that you want them and that they're important to you. I
Mm-hmm.
just I've loved the people, and I have, and they've loved me back, and I
That's
love.
good.
I'm grateful. When I think back, oh my goodness,
Mhm.
wow! I thank God. I thank God because it's a journey. Oh my goodness, I'm grateful for. I'm grateful.
That's that's good. Now I got one call to action. All the candidates that you have helped elected get into office or didn't make office, but specifically the ones you helped elected and get in office and you still have relationships with them. What advice or what message would you tell those candidates for their role they is pivotal in playing in helping the next generation of candidates to come on deck? What do you see or what do they need to know they need to do to help elevate the next leaders that's coming behind them?
Hmm. Yeah, reach, invite them in, talk to them, invite them in, mentor them. People tell you they want to do something, begin a conversation. This is what I have. This is an opportunity. I know our mayor's office has a program for youth and for businesses, and they're training youth and businesses to with about the opportunities that are available. We have to share the information. All candidates, whatever your situation is, share what you've learned and you've taken away from this experience. Share it with the next person so that they can be stronger and be held to the same standard. That's what we have to do. Bring them with you. We don't go about alone. Everyone, each one, reach one, each one, teach one. Come on, y'all. We are not in this, we are all in this together. We have to share that. And I would say, and share it, share everything, mentor, invite them in. And then, of course, as learners, we'll be absolutely receptive to all that they say. We have to be included in whenever there are opportunities to go and to show up, we need to be there. And they need to always engage and stay with their base. Every elected official needs to stay with their base. They need to remember their constituents. They need to send a letter, send a thank you, send unexpected, do something unexpected, so that people can remember you and know who you are. And invite them, always invite us, and then we must go. Don't give ourselves a reason not to go. Don't say, "Oh, I didn't feel good." No, no, no. Go. When you're invited, go. Don't miss the opportunity. That's also important.
Learnings, lessons, advocacy of the great illustrious Miss Ingrid K. Montgomery. I call her, she is the queen. Look, she's the queen of civil
Oh
rights
my
in Duval County for me. She gonna praise you when you do good. She gonna chastise you when you could do better. And
my
that is what we need in this political climate space, because we can run for office without all the negativity. We can
yes,
do it. But I
yes,
love the key nuggets I took away from you today. Florida House District has to refine their identity. We
yeah.
have to be on one accord, difference, and it'll force people to change. She told us to turn the TV off, y'all. She told us to get off the couch, y'all. She
Yeah.
told us to stick with it and see it through. If this certain leaders are disappointing you, then it's your power of the vote to vote them out of seat. Now, if y'all ain't take notes today, shame on you. But Teresa was taking notes, and I'm the host at the same time. So I just want to let you know that Miss Ingrid is a jewel and a diamond, and I am so honored
Oh, praise
for her
God.
to share her story with me,
Wow.
something I will always have something to point to, and to create that video library, that video encyclopedia for future candidates to come to look back and say, we had somebody that was doing that in Duval County. That is Miss Ingrid. So, Miss Ingrid, I'm going to give you the last say. How can folks get in contact with you or get involved with the organizations you are part of? What's the best way for them to find out?
Oh, wow. I'd love that. I hope that all the women, I hope women and men, and we are, we're looking for youth, young, that 18 to 45, that age group. We need you desperately. We need you to come. And every one of us, others of us, please, the elders of us, we are looking for you to just come. You can, and also the email, iamimeye@gmail.com. Hope you'll join our Democratic Women's Information Network. That we would look forward to your participation there, and that getting engaged and learning more about the diplomacy, the dignity, the whole, the way things work, the way things, the order, the protocol, the procedure, all of that's important. You got to know what the procedure is so that you don't stand out and make it look like it's something wrong. We are able to do that. So just I look forward to hearing from you. Please go to dwcf.org for the Democratic Women's Club of Florida, or duvaldwin.org to learn more about us there too. Thank you so much, Teresa. I from the first time I saw you at Representative Angie Nixon's. Oh my gosh, that was out there in that field. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I was so happy to see you. And we met then. That was so amazing. You started then. Wow. Look how we've come along. Look how
yes, ma'am.
I thank God for you. And I thank God for the opportunity. This is a wonderful opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you for listening and tuning in, and more stories to come in Voices of Florida House District 14. If you want to share your story being told, the details are in the description. Give me a call at 904-419-9585 so you can tell your story from your district on how you want and imagine your district to become. Thank you so much, Miss Ingrid.
You are so welcome. Thank you, Teresa. Love you. Love it.
Thank you for listening to Voices of Florida House District 14. Love thy neighborhood. If you felt seen, heard, or inspired, share this episode, subscribe to our podcast, and spread the word across our district and beyond. From Durkeeville to Dunn Avenue, from East Side to Edgewood, from Springfield to San Marco, and across every street near the stadium downtown. We are building power, one voice at a time. Don't forget to sign the petition to get me on the 2026 ballot and donate $26 today to keep this campaign for the people, powered by the people. Schedule your story session, stay connected on social media, and join our volunteer team, digitally or in person, because change starts with us, right here, right now, right on your block. Until next time, love your neighbor, lift your voice, and let's fight for the future we all deserve. Paid for by Teresa V. Wakefield Gamble, Democrat for Florida House State District 14. Produced by CRPC Now Media. Powered by Concierge Resource Professional Consultants, LLC.